Welcome. Welcome to the Art Marketing Influencers Show. Today on the show, I'll be speaking with Annelies Foster-Meyer. I know as Annie, a professional artist in South Africa who describes herself and her art process as follows. I'm intrigued by textures, by light, and by shade, by life. I first came into contact with Annie, if I may call her that, and her beautiful art on Facebook, but she soon stood out for me for an entirely different reason. Annie is progressively going blind, and for any artist that most surely must be the worst physical condition imaginable. She has not gone quietly into the night, but has fought back against this tide with pluck and the best medical assistance possible. I cannot begin to know the road she has travelled in her successive eye operations and all that it entails. When I decided to start this podcast show, Annie was one of the first people I wanted to interview. I believe she can truly help others, other artists particularly, to manage the specific problem and any of the many other challenges they may be confronting today. Interestingly, many famous artists have had to grapple with progressive eye affections. One being my favourite, Claude Monet, who had cataracts, and it increasingly affected the quality of his art, and it can be seen if you look at later paintings. But I was always fascinated to understand that overall, an artist's eye care is an important aspect of any artist's creative and professional lives. By taking care of their eyes, artists can produce high-quality work, maintain their attention to detail, and establish themselves as professionals in the art world. All of which can, and this is equally important, contribute to successful art marketing. So there's the connection between eyesight, the ability to see, and the ability to market well. So then, let us hear just what Annie has to say on this subject.
And then another thing happened. I had macular fibrosis. So I had to go for another operation in my left eye. The operation itself was very successful, but because the eye was already traumatized, I lost more vision. And there was no sort of postponing. I had to, something was going to burst, and then they said to me, I'm in for a seizure because the IOP went up. I never knew these things. Most people don't know about this. So it's actually a good thing to talk about. Whether you're an artist or a housewife or a top executive, this illness it comes slowly and it attacks you, and you've got to be knowledgeable and you've got to go for those eye tests. And actually, the sooner they can diagnose you, the better they are in postponing blindness.
Now we continue. So I welcome you back to the Art Marketing Influencers Show, where we showcase the daily lives of art professionals. Not only that, their challenges. And the main beneficiaries will be you, my audience, and particularly the artists among you. Overall, listening to a podcast series about the daily lives and challenges of all persons involved in marketing of art, aka art professionals, can be an informative and engaging experience, offering unique perspectives on the art world and marketing strategies in general. If you're watching this on YouTube, Please like and subscribe, as this really encourages me to continue to bring to you a greater variety of speakers, and it helps the algorithm on YouTube to popularize the show to a greater audience. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Annie, who has an interesting bio. Anneliese, known to me as Annie Foster Meyer, was born and raised in the Karoo. She wrote, "I love the smell of the felt, and most of all, I love to paint." She's capitalized those last 4 words, "I love to paint." She's a graduate of Stellenbosch University with a bachelor's degree in Design and Applied Arts. She graduated in 1984 and followed a career in photography, corporate design, and book illustrations. Annie was born and currently lives and works in the town of Loxton in the Northern Cape here in South Africa. This area is known as the Karoo. She's a freelance artist and illustrator. She does commission oil paintings, cartoons, and illustrations for individuals, companies, and publishers. She manages an art collection, Meerdale Wine Estate exhibits, and exhibits her own work as well as many other paintings of various other artists. So let's go to her interview. From the Karoo. It's not a desert, eh? It's semi-desert.
Semi-desert.
A very ancient part of the world. It used to be a primordial sea, apparently, at one stage, because they find fossils in the Karoo. And you're certainly not a fossil, but anyway. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, not art-wise, you as in your domestic situation. You're married to Alvain. You were married in 2012, I understand, and how you came to land up in the Karoo. Just a brief sketch of your background. All right.
Okay. Well, I was born here. I traveled, I lived in many places, and eventually I ended up in the Middle East with my husband. And after 5 years living over there, I just had this one big feeling that I have to return. Yeah, I missed the owls, I missed the wind in the trees, I missed the arid landscape, and I came back. And I'm not sorry about that, because the Karoo has been my inspiration. But yeah, I'm painting full time and enjoying it very much. And yeah, this is just where I want to be and what I want to do.
That's great. How long have you lived in the Karoo?
Well, I'm back now. It's been 6 years. I can't believe it. Time flies. But when I was not living here, I came to visit very often because I still had family here, my uncle and aunt, and before they died, I had grandmother and grandfather here. And, like it goes in a small town, you know everybody. You're raised by the whole town. You're not raised only by your parents.
Exactly.
So
Are you a professional painter or a very good amateur?
I've been painting since I can remember. Maybe I must tell you that my father always gave me dolls for Christmas, and I always envied my brother because he got all the presents that you could do something with. So a beloved aunt gave me 2 brushes and a set of water paint, and that's where it all started, and I was about 4 years old. So my big dream was to go to varsity. I went there, I got my degree at Stellenbosch University, and I specialized in graphic art and illustration, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad, but it took me a while to overcome my graphic background, because you tend to be too neat, too precise, too perfect. But it helped me in that I can do anything. I can do landscapes, I can do faces, pets, wildlife. So it's a pro and a con.
Okay, that's marvelous. So that's how you started in art. The next question, how would you describe your creative process? Tell us firstly, what genre do you work in? Are you a sculptor or fine artist, or you're a photographer, or exactly what do you do?
I did have some training in photography, but I won't classify myself as a photographer, although I love taking pictures. The pictures are merely my reference. Many of the scenes, like the one here behind me, it's impossible to do plein air in a storm, a dust storm like that. So you've got to take pictures, bring that to your studio and look at the pictures and get your own sort of interpretation of what you went through, what you've seen, what you felt. But I'm mainly working in oil paint. And I know that some people would say, it's just like photographs, but it isn't. I sometimes combine 3 or 4 of my own photographs. So I'm actually taking the photograph a few steps further and working with textures as well. So, a picture like a photograph has got like one texture right through. When you print it on a canvas, it's just there. But the painting like this has got different layers and there's a depth, not only by illusion, but also by texture.
Okay. What would you describe yourself as, impressionist realist?
That's a good question. I see myself actually as evolving still. Many people would say I'm doing realistic work, but if you look at my work from close up, it's not really realistic. It plays with the illusion of that. So I love working with palette knives as well. So it's difficult. Maybe I'm not quite there, to be honest.
I think you're fully there. You need time to sit down and analyze exactly what genre you're in.
Yeah, maybe I'm scared of labels because in a way it is impressionistic, but it's not really fully impressionistic work. So I feel I'm still growing. I think I feel more comfortable saying that I'm growing, and maybe I'll know when I get there, if I get there.
Yes. All right. How would you describe your creative process from the idea to the finished product?
I would say, I think people always think you've got this big talent, but it's not like that. It's sometimes very frustrating. Sometimes, you paint and you do all the things wrong. You've got to scrape it off and start over again or paint on top of it. I would say my creative process is very much painting what touches my heart, and also looking at what's happening around me, the landscapes, the changes in light. That really intrigues me. How the same scene can actually change so much. So I try to capture that. And that is very much my, I would say what I'm trying to do here in my studio is to reflect that same moment that other people can't see, but that I saw it when it happened. So I try to convey that. That answers your question.
Yeah, well, it does. What are some of the challenges you face as a fine artist, and how do you overcome them?
I think my biggest challenge, although it might not seem like that, is basically to market my own work, because it takes a lot of time. Social media is wonderful for marketing, but it's really time consuming. And what I did find out is that you've got to be authentic. You can't put out what you're not, because people are clever. They're going to see that if your marketing effort is not who you really are. Obviously, I'm not one of those people trying to sort of splatter my whole life, my personal life on social media. I'm very much against that. But in your work, in your paintings, in your art, you like if I paint Venice scenes, that's wonderful, and maybe I'll do it for a commission. I've tried that, but my heart is never in it. My heart is in the Karoo. It's in what I live, my day, as my weeks and my months and my years and the seasons and the animals and how everything changes. That became very much part of me. So I think that is one of my biggest challenges, is to actually be the authentic self and conveying that on my canvases and marketing that as such.
Okay. What marketing channels do you use? Do you have an agent?
And no, I've had agents, not at the moment. I had a request yesterday again, but it's difficult times, and I won't say it's not a good thing to have an agent. If you can have an agent and the two of you can work as a team, it is wonderful, but it's difficult to find the right people. At the moment, I'm doing my own marketing. I'm not in any galleries. I've been in galleries. I've had a few difficult experiences with galleries. I'm very, very blessed at the moment that my work is selling very well. Also, I'm not as productive as I used to be. So I think if you have an agent or you market through galleries, you have to have like 25 to 30 pieces. Your stock, you've got to have stock. Luckily, my work sell very well, so I don't have that much to sell. As I make it, it sells. This one is sold yesterday. It's still wet and not finished.
Yes, yeah. Which brings you to another point. If you're selling, you're actually selling, as you said, as you make it. So it would seem your social media exposure is working. Selling on Facebook. Do you have a lot of inquiries from Facebook, and what other, Instagram possibly? Which other?
Yeah, Instagram, and then I keep. I've got a home gallery. And I also display other artists' work. I don't take any commission on their work. They help me, because a gallery is not only one person. A gallery is lots of artists and lots of styles. So at the moment, what I'm doing is everybody who buys from me, I keep a database and I contact them. I send out a new painting as I'm working. I would take a few pictures and I would contact and say, no obligation, I'm just showing what I'm doing at the moment. And sometimes people ignore it, and sometimes they just come back to me and say, wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or I've sold some other artists' work from the other artists that, that display their work here with me. And I actually find it much easier to sell their work than to sell mine, because I can say, look at the brushwork, look at the beautiful colors. It's difficult to do that with my own work.
You can be quite objective when selling somebody else, and very subjective when selling your own stuff, because you don't want to, again.
You won't forward. Yeah, you don't want to be forward. You don't want to. Ons in Afrikaans sê, jy wil nie jou werk iemand se keel afdruk nie. So
Quite right.
Much easier. It's just much easier saying good things about other people's work than your own.
Of course, it would be. You'd probably make a very good agent, an artist agent.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if I had the time, I think I would have made a good agent. But it is time consuming.
Yes, you've got a very nice online presence. There are some artists that are product oriented. All they do is shove their products onto Facebook and various other sites, but they don't convey their personality and a little bit of the human touch. You do it and evolve as an artist. How do you stay inspired? What motivates your art?
I think it's got to do with the Karoo. I think there's so much happening here, although there's actually nothing happening. yeah, if there's sheep in town, or there's donkeys in town, or there's a big lorry offloading something, or there's a dust storm, or whatever happens, it's a happening, it's an event. You can rush out, take pictures, there's just so much to inspire you. And also, I love painting stuff where I know other people can't go. I've got this painting here. I don't know if I'm allowed to show it, but
Yes,
I
no,
really
sir.
have. Yeah, I really had to climb down to this waterfall, and I know many people passes on top. They pass
Yes,
and they don't know about the waterfall. They're just oblivious. So to me, it's also nice going places where I know other people won't be able to go there, or they don't know about it, and I paint it.
excellent.
Your question about evolving. Um, I am very intrigued at the moment by abstract work and working more abstract. The older I get, the more I think. I've done this with a few paintings now where, when you walk back, it comes into focus. When you're standing in front of it, it's very much abstract with textures and colors, and, you don't know what you're looking at. But as you walk back, it all sort of comes into focus.
Yes.
So that's one of my challenges at the moment.
All right.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you do. Uh, let's say you've mentioned challenges. One of your challenges has been your eye affliction, your problems with your eyes. Now,
Yes.
all of us artists have some problem or other to contend with, a load to carry. But yours, when I came to hear of it, I found it. I was touched by it because an artist's eyes, if you lose your eyesight, what an artist, it's terrible. So tell us a little bit about your problems with your eyesight and where you are in this in the game.
The problem with my eyes are basically that I've got narrow angle glaucoma, and it was discovered too late. It's called, all glaucoma is called the silent thief, because so many people, they just find that they're not seeing well. Their sight is not what it used to be. They think they need glasses, and by the time they go for tests, and the IOP, that is the IOP is the pressure inside your eyeball. Most people don't know about these things. And when they eventually go, it's too late. My story was a little bit different. I went to see somebody, and I believed everything the specialist had to say. And eventually, when I got to another ophthalmologist, I was told that this guy was really not right in his diagnosis of my eyes. And I already lost so much of my optical nerve. And optical nerves can't grow back. And once they're damaged, they damage. There is at the moment research in places like India with stem cells, but they can't save me anymore. Luckily, the positive side of it is that it's not a life-threatening disease. All that can happen is that I can go blind, which is terrible. But with technology at the moment, we're trying to postpone that for as long as we can. And yes, I've been through many ordeals with my eyes, with operations and drops, burning, and it's just horrible. But I think the reason why I'm positive about it is that at least I know now, and at least we can try to postpone it. In the past, and I'm talking about 50, 60 years ago, people just went blind.
Yes.
There's so much they can do at the moment to postpone. So that is my positive side that I try to cling to. And every time I feel a little bit depressed by it because it does get to you sometimes. I feel I should do another painting before it's too late.
Yes, yes. Do you feel you say you have a loss of eyesight. Uh, does that affect the way you see a picture or paint a picture?
Yes. The thing with glaucoma, the kind that I have, is that I get a tunnel vision. So I don't see so much of the outside. Most people can see a lot. They've got a wider, yeah. But I'm losing from the outside. And then another thing happened. I had macular fibrosis. So I had to go for another operation in my left eye. The operation itself was very successful, but because the eye was already traumatized, I lost more vision. And there was no sort of postponing. I had to, something was going to burst, and then they said to me, I'm in for a seizure because the IOP went up. I never knew these things. Most people don't know about this. So it's actually a good thing to talk about. Whether you're an artist or a housewife or a top executive, this illness can it comes slowly and it attacks you, and you've got to be knowledgeable and you've got to go for those eye tests. And actually, the sooner they can diagnose you, the better they are in postponing blindness.
Quite.
Right.
So that would be your message to other artists, to retain their vision. Be careful.
Definitely.
There's so many things we have to look after in terms of our health, but artists particularly, they treasure their eyesight, to be able to see things. We see things differently to other people, I believe. And I wonder if you are seeing things differently with the range of vision you have.
I do, if I look at tiles, like the tiles in my kitchen, yes, you would see lines. My lines go a little bit like that. If I look at your shirt, yes, I perceive your shirt now is what my tiles look like, because you're a man inside of the shirt. If it lies flat, it would be flat lines. Yes. But seeing that the body inside the shirt, it goes like this. So that's how I perceive straight lines. My world is very interesting. My world is really interesting. I can tell you one thing. I've been reading up about Van Gogh quite a lot, and realizing that he had lead poisoning, and that's maybe why he saw all those halos. I also see halos, bright light, the full moon, even a street light, halos. What can you do? You can learn about it.
No, you of course you have to. Well, that's possibly the last resort. But I was just thinking of Picasso. I watched. I can't remember the title of the piece. He drew a woman, a washerwoman, I presume. I think it was, and she was sort of surrealistically interpreted, like a normal picture. But the bottom of her shawl and her dress, there was a check pattern in the folds, and I could see the beginnings of his Cubist style in the painting. In that conventional painting, I could see elements of the cube and abstract nature coming out. And I wonder if he saw that himself without talking about it. He might well have, and moved on to the new style because that's what he was seeing, and he wanted to exaggerate or magnify, and that became his style.
Sorry for interrupting. I just want to say you must see what will come out of my studio in the next few years. I'm very excited about it. Maybe I started posting my lines all like waves.
Fantastic. who knows, that may be just up everybody's street, and a lot of buyers might want to buy into it. I'm going to ask the last question of you, because I've kept you long enough. What is your long-term goal as a fine artist?
I think I'm looking for words at the moment. I'd like to evolve. I think if one stands still, if you come to the place where you think you must know it all, it's a very dangerous spot to be. I haven't arrived. I'm still very much trying to experiment and to get better at what I'm doing. My eyes, it really is a big challenge. I'm not as fast and as quick as I used to be. And sometimes I would paint and I would just sort of everything just go blurry. So it's a big thing for me, but I still feel that there's much to explore. And I think that is the main thing about art, is to not get to this place where you feel you made it. Because then it becomes a pattern, and then it becomes mediocre. I still feel there's so much that I can learn. If I look at a ladder, maybe I'm only on the third or even less in my upwards rising with the ladder. So I really feel there's so much to explore, and I'm trying out mixed media at the moment, and it's not so successful. but yeah, it's a big challenge to me. I hope I'm granted the time with my eyes that I can still explore and just go on with what I'm doing at the moment.
Fantastic. That's a very encouraging note to end on. And I thank you sincerely for being on the podcast. And I'm sure there are many people going to listen to you and appreciate what you've said and learn something from what you've been telling us.
Yeah, I want to add, looks aren't anything. Since my last operation, my eye has changed so much. But I mean, I have puffy eyes and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. I can still see. I just feel if I can just say to everybody, go for that eye test, see a specialist once every 2 or 3 years, and really, take your vitamins, vitamin B12. That's for nerves. So it's like we need a vitamin for good nerves, because we're getting all these shocks every day. But it's not for nothing. Remember, eat your green veggies and your orange veggies. Carrots, have carrots, lots of carrots. But thank you, Les, for talking to me. It was really nice, and I hope that people will see how much eyes really matters. It does, what we see is what we perceive.
Finally, now we've heard from Annie. What an upbeat message. Our eyes, but also encourages us in finding novel ways to market and sell our art. Congratulations, Annie. Long might you continue to paint as beautifully as you do. May I also call you to like, once again, if you found this of any value, to comment if you want to improve anything or just say something, and to subscribe if you really want to hear what further artists might want to say and what other art professionals, not only artists, art professionals, might want to share. And so too, also share it with those if you found any value in it. Thank you for being with us today, and I will see you again soon with another interesting guest. Cheers for me, Les, at the Art Marketing Influencers podcast show.